Hey, everybody. Welcome to an incredible new episode of Rock and Roll Confessional.
Well, it's a new year, right?
So will be 2 days from this. This show will be a new year. Yes. 2021.
Oh God, thank God. You know, we won't see the clearing completely until I don't know when, but soon. The light is at the end of the tunnel.
Maybe January 2nd. We'll see the clearing.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm C.W. West.
I'm Rita Wild. Well, this episode is with former Traffic guitarist and singer Dave Mason. Dave has re-recorded his first album 50 years after its original release, and it's titled Alone Together Again. Dave also talks with us about being on tour when the pandemic hit, joining Fleetwood Mac, Derek and the Dominoes, and almost joining the Jimi Hendrix Experience, plus so much more.
Hey, so here we go with our interview with Dave Mason.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Dave, how are you? Long time no see.
Yes. We're good. Thank you. Yeah.
You're quarantining in Hawaii, right?
You know, we're Groundhog Day in Hawaii. Yes.
At least it's a nice place to keep repeating.
Well, yeah. Thank God we're lucky that we have a place here.
Well, Dave, there's so many reasons why we wanted to talk to you. You are one of the legendary figures in all of rock and roll. I don't think a lot of times you get as many accolades as you deserve. But we want to go through some of that, what you've done with your career and so forth. And also with your brand new album, which I just received in the mail today. I sent off for it, I think Friday. It was here already, which is quick. And it's got much like the album did.
Yes.
The album was like that. And the album, when it first came out, was one of the first that I think I'd ever seen that was marble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that like one of the first ever?
Well, as far as I know, coming out, every one of them was different, because there was no way to control how the vinyls mixed in the press. So every single one of them was different.
I think about a third of them were that way, but the new CD comes like this also. And it's signed, and you can get yours signed too.
You can get your signed copy at DaveMasonMusic.com. Make wonderful stocking stuffers, folks.
Great stocking stuffers. So perfect.
And there's a vinyl version coming out too, right? Which can be ordered on your site.
I can't, unfortunately, I'm just a little guy, and I'm right in the Christmas rush. So people who are doing it for me probably won't be until January that we get them. But yes, there's going to be vinyl, and they'll be multicolored. And again, those will be, every one of them will come out differently, so they'll all be unique.
The album Alone Together, when it was released, was one of the best debut albums ever. I mean, there's just so much great stuff on there, and it's held up over the years. So I was kind of wondering why you would do that. But then, to be very honest with you, I've listened to the new release probably about 3 or 4 times. And last night I went back to the old one and listened to that. And it was like, okay, I get it. I get exactly what you're talking about. It sounds much fuller, sounds much more livelier.
Yeah, well, it's my band, and the tracks basically, other than the new version of World in Changes that I did, but everything else, which I did sort of more in the studio, but everything else is pretty much live. In fact, the version of Sad and Deep as You, I'd actually put it on a CD maybe 10 years ago, something that I just took on the road with me. But Sad and Deep as You was cut at XM radio in Washington, 15 years ago or more. And then the rest of the tracks, which are on the album, were all cut about 4 or 5 years ago while I was on the road, and I had an afternoon off. And so I booked a studio and went in, and all the other tracks are just cut live. I mean, I did the vocal afterwards, but the tracks, everything is basically just played live. So the point about it is yes, it has that difference, which sort of, thinking back, like if I'd have had those guys that were on the original recording, those great players that were more or less session players at the time in LA. But if I'd have had those guys on the road for about a month before going in and cutting Alone Together, it would have had that little extra little pop in it, Plus, I just, part of it was my, but I'm never happy with my voice, I want to be Sam Cooke. I want to be Marvin Gaye. But I'm never going to be. So,
you know how many people want to be Dave Mason?
But I do feel that the years of, essentially, I'm a guitar player. That's what my thing. Singing was not like, this is ever since I was young, I've been singing and it's all been great. I learned to sing because you had to. Otherwise, you didn't get booked when you were started out as a young band. But I think the voice has taken on a, I don't know. It's kind of like a good wine.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's got a little life on it. It's got some time on it.
And you still sound really, really smooth. I'm so impressed on this album how your voice sounds so still to this day really, really
thank
great.
You. It's like even if we go through some of the tracks that you redid, Only You Know and I Know, got a female vocalist on there. It sounds brighter, a colder end. Some of the other tracks that I loved, Shouldn't Have Took More Than You Gave. I loved it's got a little bit more jazz, a little bit more improv in it, it sounds like. World in Changes, a lot of improv, but a real reggae tune this time around.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice touch. Whose idea was that?
I just was screwing around with rethinking one of my songs, and I started working on that one, and it just sort of, okay, this is kind of cool. And so, yeah, I was and I do have there is a version. I did recut the original version of it. There is one, and I believe actually, if you buy the CD or you download the digital version of it, I think you're able to go right. When can't they download? Yeah, I believe you can. Once you buy this, you can go get the other version of World in Changes. And I was torn between, shall I stay true to the, shall I not piss off the devotees, the people who have booed Bob Dylan because he put an electric guitar on? Or do I go with something, more contemporary and more now? So my thought was to go with a different version of it. World in Changes. For instance, a lot of my songs and the way I write consciously is I write pretty much about timeless themes,
which works.
So they're not old. Like World in Changes could have been written yesterday.
Any one of those songs, Only You Know and I Know, As Sad and As Deep.
Well, all of them.
All of them.
Every one of them are all, they're not songs that could be from the title and the words dated. They're very relevant. So I thought from that point of view, it worked. There were a couple of reasons. I started playing around doing this mostly for my own amusement, really with no intention of, I was thinking about doing it as a CD, but just to take on the road, and then coupled with the fact that, the original masters were all burnt up in the fire in Universal.
Yeah.
Obviously they have digital copies of it, but then it was, it's coming up on the 50th anniversary, and friends and my wife were like, oh, come on, you need to do this. You got to put this. So I figured, okay, if we're going to do it, I need to recreate the scenario of the packaging, which was all part of it. That's kind of the story of redoing it. And 50 years since I did it. Why not? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, your music is always really good on record, but live, it takes on just this extra added dimension. And so you must be going crazy with COVID now. You can't do any dates. When was the last show you played live?
Where the hell were we, man? New Hampshire.
Beginning of March.
Yeah, it was the beginning. We were out on the road. All set to just have a great year. The last show was in New Hampshire. I figured, shit, we'll be,
It'll be a couple of days, yeah.
It happened, and then we just basically drove back home from there to Reno, Nevada. But was all the way through this. I was thinking about this particular flu because they're all COVID flu. All of them, they're all COVIDs. is just a bizarre strain. Whether you're with the conspiracy theorists, this is just jacked up in a laboratory somewhere, or it just actually happened. It's quite possible, but anything's possible, I suppose. But my point being is that last 2019, and I think we were coming to the end of a tour, and me and my other guitar player, John Sambatero, came down with this flu that now I know more about it. I'm pretty sure we had it, we caught it. And now they've already come out and said, this just didn't transpire this year. This started in 2019 because it lasted almost 3 months. And it was wow. It was terrible. So I think that I had it back in 2019.
Yeah, that's what they said, like around October, November overseas. And they have cases here that they've, said people in January had it.
Right.
So what was the most, for you as a singer, that's got to be difficult because it affects the lungs. Did you have trouble breathing, or was it more of a fatigue?
It was all of it. It was terrible. It was just bam, just put me down.
But you weren't hospitalized.
No.
Yeah, good. But I'm so glad that you got through that because, it is real, and there's so many people that, we're on lockdown again here in Southern, actually all of California again.
Oh, yeah, I know you guys are, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's like, okay, it's just a couple of people that don't want to wear a mask.
Well, that's the other thing, I guess the other problem will be, that when they get the vaccine, of course, you're going to have those people that just refuse to get vaccinated for various reasons. And there are going to be some that just won't get vaccinated. So as they say, this is probably just going to be eventually it'll be another strain of flu that's just going to keep popping up every year somewhere here or there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but the only thing to do is to just, we've been, we were in the thick of it, and we've been, we were out there, and we don't go out that much, and we don't really socialize at all. Back in Reno, I did with some friends that I knew really well. But essentially just, mask up when you go out and take hand sanitizer and wash your hands and just be mindful. That's all. That's all it would.
Yep.
They're right. That's probably all it would probably take if everybody would just do that,
Including our current president.
Well, yeah, but the bottom line about it is really nobody, the so-called professionals, nobody really knows what the hell's, everybody's got a different version of it. It'll be what it is. It'll take its course. And it ain't the first time things like this have gone through the population of the planet. There've been worse things than this.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just missing live shows. And I know that you've got to be. I noticed on your website that you have actually a couple of dates booked in, I think, Florida in April and May starting up. If
there's April shows, but I sincerely doubt they're going to happen. I don't think, I think the best scenario is maybe June, July.
August, yeah.
Probably more than likely, probably not happen till the fall.
One thing that you did do on quarantine is form a band called the Quarantines.
Yeah.
You guys, tell us about that. It's like feeling all right.
The Dave Mason and the Quarantines. Yeah. Everybody was do, some little show on, sing some songs, do something, play something, do something. I'm like, I'm a band. I like to have a band. Doing stuff on my own which I've never done, actually. So I thought, well, what the hell? What can we do? So I thought, well, kind of everybody's doing this, but nobody. How about if I try and put a little group of guys together that'll all have, per se, their own cachet and see what happens, because nobody had done that. So it was kind of putting a little super group together. So Mick, of course, Fleetwood, Mick I've known obviously for a long time, and because I was in Fleetwood Mac for 2 years.
Right. And he lives down the street.
He lives up the hill.
Up the hill.
He lives up the hill. Pat Simmons lives over here. Paul Simon's over here. Steven Tyler's down the other end down here.
And Sammy visits every other month.
Sammy visits. Sammy I met at Shep Gordon's last Christmas. Michael McDonald And of course, the Dubas, I mean, we've been doing shows since way back together. Yeah. And so I just thought, well, shoot, you know what? Why don't I just call these guys and see if they'd be into doing it? First of all, I saw the thing that really made me want to do it actually was the very old Black Water that the Dubas did. Because I'd seen some of this, online stuff, and it's cool, and they're on there. To do it actually live, like everybody right there, right then, right now, you don't get the quality because of latency. It's not there yet to do that. Right. So I called John McVie, and it was like, John, it looks great, but it sounds really great. How just guys do that? And he said, well, we just, we recorded the track, and everybody put their parts on and sang their parts, and then we filmed ourselves on iPhones. And then we just went back and filmed ourselves singing to ourselves. And then we put all the track together. So that's how it was done. That's how we put this together with Feeling All Right. And I did it just because I thought, well, hey, it'll be fun. It'll be a group of people, maybe people put a smile on people's faces for a minute. And everybody was just great at wanting to do it. And the great thing is actually, the weird thing is if it wasn't for this lockdown, it probably would never have happened. And the way it came out and the way it sounds is that we're all playing together. I mean, the track itself is really...
Yeah, it was edited very well.
Yeah, it's really good. And the guy named Rob Arthur put all the visuals together, who was Peter Frampton's keyboard player. But he's sort of developed into this little video film skill that he's doing, which is really cool, and did a great job. That's how that all got put together.
We got to get you a TikTok kind of thing. Yeah. Saw what happened with Fleetwood Mac and Dreams, and Nick has a cameo on that, and it's all over the place. And, so we got to get one with Feeling All Right, somebody skateboarding. So need to start that, man. So
tell us a little bit what it was like when you were in that brief moment of Fleetwood Mac. You were Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, and Christine McVie was kind of in the band at the time. And how did you fall into that position?
Basically, just Mick called me out of the blue one day, and it was like, because the band had kind of formed. It was in that period. Stevie and Lindsay. That was it. Was
one of those times.
I'm thinking of putting the Mac together and doing something, and I was just wondering if you'd be interested in being part of it. And I was kind of, I mean, for me, I was like, well, yeah, shit, yeah. I'm bored with doing just Dave. I need to do something else. So yeah, I became part of it, and it lasted a couple of years. We did. Christine McVie was part of it. She did the album, which was great, but she wouldn't go on the road, which was not great. Right. Because basically the road band became sort of for one of a better word, became, it almost became like a Fleetwood Mac copy band, I mean, we had the
cover band.
We had the drummer and the bass player, but there were no frontline people there at all. So it was kind of like that. And then we did an album, which was cool. It was not a bad album called Time, but nobody knew it was out. I mean, Warner Brothers did not promote it at all.
Right.
Now that's one band that you joined, but maybe we can clear up a little confusion here. Did you ever join Spencer Davis?
No, Spencer Davis. Yeah. I sing. No. I sing harmony. I sing harmony on Somebody Help Me and on Give Me Some Love. The harmonies and I'm a Man and Give Me Some Lovin'. Yeah, that was during the initial period between Steve leaving them and us forming Traffic.
Yeah,
but weren't you a roadie for him
for a couple of months so we could hang out together? I mean, roadie. It's a joke. It was just an excuse for us to hang out together.
Okay.
It works.
Okay, we're time for a quick break. We want to first start off by thanking our Patreon supporters, our roadies, our groupies, and our rock stars. We appreciate your support. You folks have been there to help us through these crazy times, and we appreciate it. If you feel like helping or you want to make a nice New Year's resolution, as our New Year's resolution is to keep bringing you some great shows, all you need to do is make a small pledge to Rock and Roll Confessional. Just go to Patreon and look up Rock and Roll Confessional, or go to our website, and click the support tab. It'll take you right there. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help keep this podcast going. We appreciate anything you can do. And we need a lot of help. I know. I don't want to beg, but sometimes I got to beg because, we got bills to pay. Anyway, Reitz, we're halfway through the show here with Dave Mason, which we both had a really great time. He was from Hawaii. He was doing it from his house in Hawaii. So, but you have a rock and roll trivia question, right? A Dave Mason trivia question.
What Jimi Hendrix album did Dave Mason play on? Was it Are You Experienced, Axis Bold as Love, or Electric Ladyland?
That's a good one. Now get ready for our second half of our interview with former Traffic guitarist, singer, Dave Mason.
Traffic was one of those bands that you sequestered yourself in a house or a studio. That was one of the first times bands had done that.
Well, the only other parallel to that would have been Big Pink, which was basically the same time. We moved into a cottage in the middle of in Berkshire, in the middle of nowhere. No electricity, no running water. That was our little place, and slowly kind of put it together with electricity and all that stuff. But then, to figure out what we were going to do, basically. I mean, I was 19. I didn't, what are we going to do? I'd never written a song. And then I wrote a song that became their biggest hit over there, which is basically the first song, one of the first songs I ever wrote, which is sort of fantasy song called A Hole in My Shoe.
Now, how did you learn to write songs? Because you mostly wrote by yourself.
Well, I learned to play guitar. I just sat down and did it.
Was there any manager around you that time urging you to do that? Because I know that like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger had somebody, and even with the Beatles, they had people saying, you've got to write your own songs.
No. It was obvious, that was part of, that was for sure part of it, was writing. And it's not just the creative or so-called artistic reasons, I suppose. But, the very real side of it is that's how we made our living. That's why we made a living. And the bottom line or rather I should say was, because is questionable, was copyrights, which are worth money. Now, I hate to get into all this, but it's just been destroyed. If you're just a songwriter, you're screwed. You're screwed. I mean, they just Spotify ain't paying the proper royalties at all. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. So it's interesting to look at what people like me have created. And it's how it's finished up being used and abused.
Now, did you have all the rights on your early material? Because I heard something about Chris Blackwell.
Chris Blackwell got it. I was a kid. I was 19. I was a lamb to the slaughter, honey.
Oh, man.
I didn't know.
That's so sad.
I didn't know nothing from nothing. So
that's how he started Island Records, I guess, with all the money that he made off you.
Well, no. He started that, I mean, he was working out of a telephone booth with his first artist, Millie, My Boy Lollipop.
Now, okay, another one of those bands that maybe you were going to join, but maybe not, Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Actually, Jimmy and I got sort of struck up a little relationship, sort of mutual admiration society thing initially. And I got to spend some casual time with him and some professional time. And that it's been related and told so many times, but I played on the acoustic guitar all along the Watchtower, sang on Crosstown Traffic, and then there's probably 2 or 3 other tracks that I did with him where I play bass and sitar that I have no idea what happened to them. I think I heard one of them, and somebody posted it as if it was Brian Jones that was playing the sitar, but it's not, it's me. But yes, we were seriously talking about me taking Noel Redding's place, since there was a rift going on between him and Jimmy. And Hendrix played the bass on nearly every track on Electric Ladyland anyway. So,
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, he was something else. He was.
Yeah, what was it? I mean, because people still today are trying to figure out how he did what he did. I mean, was he just like kind of like a genius?
Well, genius. Well, for a start, he had, longer fingers than I got to get around on that guitar neck. And he just, it wasn't so much that he was technically, there are obviously people who are faster, can play more notes in 1 minute than you can shake a stick at. But he was, the thing he was just unique. It was very unique in the way he put it all together, and very, very creative with it in the studio, how to use it. He was just very unique that way, and just great. I don't think I think maybe hardly ever saw him without a guitar in his hands, this guy.
I mean, there's not too many people that can say that they palled around with Jimi Hendrix.
No, there's not. Very fortunate in having that experience.
Something I find interesting is that when you guys did Feeling All Right, and a couple months, I think it was a few months later, Joe Cocker comes out with his own version. And it seemed like back in the 60s, that happened quite a bit. And you, along with Jimmy, recorded All Along the Watchtower right after Dylan wrote that. So I'm kind of wondering how that was kind of like a fad. Did a lot of bands back then just grab everybody else's songs and start recording them just for the heck of it?
Well, okay. The British invasion is an American story, okay? Without the music that came from this country, there'd be no English rock and roll. So it all comes from here, America. The only thing that's roots over here is Appalachian music. That's directly, you can trace that right back to Europe. The rest of it, jazz, blues, gospel, country, R&B.
Rock and roll.
It's all American music. So all we did was copy it. And that's all. And so to your question about the songs, basically, yes, that's people took American songs, like there'd be a hit over here, and there were guys that would send a copy of it back to England, and some group would record it, and they'd have the English hit. Yeah, that was, It
was kind of a territorial thing. It was to grab that hit before maybe it made its own way, before the original made its own way to Europe.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the way, and a lot of English people would a lot of English bands would quote, sing with a somewhat American accent, I mean, Jagger. But there'd be no Eric Clapton. There'd be no Rolling Stones. There'd be none of these bands. If it wasn't for all the great blues players, for a start,
right?
We wouldn't exist. I don't know what else we'd be doing, but it sure as hell wouldn't be that. So it's all traced to here. The other thing about over there is that as I remind people is that. See, in Europe, we did not have segregated radio.
There you go.
We heard it all.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So we essentially, yes, we did. We came back and turned you back onto your own music in a lot of ways.
The second British Revolution. Another band that supposedly you almost joined, Derek and the Dominoes.
Well, I did. I was there. I was in it. We did a show. I mean, of course, all the quote band members. I knew long before Eric knew them. They were all Delaney and Bonnie people.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I was there at the very beginning. We did a show at the in Hammersmith Odeon, and I started recording with them. But for me, it fell apart, and it's no secret. It's well documented when Eric got into going down that slippery slope with heroin and stuff. Basically, for me, it would have been great. I'd love to have stayed there. It got into the point where there was nothing being done. There was a lot of sitting around and a lot of, I just kind of went, you know what, screw it. So I just I came back to the States, but anyway, the point, they went on for sure to make a great album anyway.
Yeah.
So,
did you teach George Harrison how to play slide guitar?
I didn't teach, and I didn't realize this, but when I was with Delaney and Bonnie, they had their biggest hit was with my song "Only You Know and I Know," number 2 record. And I played guitar with them for a while, and then we opened a lot of the Blind Faith shows, which is how Eric got involved. First place, and then we went over to Europe and did some shows with Delaney and Bonnie, and we were playing Croydon Fairfield Hall, and Eric and George came down to the show. And of course we were like, well, Eric, you're going to sit in, because he kind of knew some of the stuff anyway. And it was like, well, George, come on, you're going to sit in. He's like, I don't know any of these tunes. I said, well, okay, well, maybe you could learn this little piece. So then I played guitar, played the solo, and I played this little slide guitar part. It's just a recurring piece, really simple, on a Delaney and Bonnie song called "Coming Home." And so we were backstage in the dressing room, and so I sat down and I showed George this little part. And so he came on. And then go back might be 10 years ago or so, or more, but probably more. I was reading an interview with Harrison in some magazine, and he's relating this story about me showing him this slide part.
Pretty cool.
You just never know,
In turn, I know he gave you a sitar, so I guess he gave you some sitar lessons and so forth.
He gave me my first sitar to work with originally. Yeah.
Another album I really didn't know existed was the one you did with Mama Cass Elliot.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was listening to it and I looked at the cover and I'm like, where's Mama Cass? What happened to her?
Unless the covers, you've got something where it's redone. The photographs, I'm trying to think who took them all. It was a major fashion photographer. But we were on each side of the covers. It was her.
Oh, so she's on the back side.
Well, it was all split up. So,
okay.
Yeah. She was somebody I got to know. I mean, Graham Parsons is probably who came here in '69. Kind of took me around and I went up to Cass's, and I spent so much time there because turned out there was a couple living there I knew really well from England. So it was like,
wow,
people I know. Wow, this is great. So I would spend a lot of time there, just being there, singing, we'd sit around and play and sing some songs with Cass. It was just sort of maybe we could record something, So it's kind of an odd coupling, and but it came out more out of a social situation than really a creative need, I think.
But that's what came out those days. In those days, a lot of times were just people hanging out and, hanging in the Hollywood Hills. I don't know where exactly you met her.
Yeah, house up on Mulholland. Yeah.
Did you see that documentary, Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't talk to me.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, how involved you were at that time up there.
Because, that's where you got to know Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I guess, and you played on a lot of their albums.
I knew obviously from England, from the Hollands.
Yeah.
They were all part of that group that was, and Jackson Browne and
Eagles.
Right, all those guys.
J.D. Souther. Yeah.
J.D. Souther, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great stuff. But really happy to hear that you are working on a book because you have so many stories to tell. So that's with Chris Epting, who
it is.
We know from Southern California.
Ways.
Yeah.
And I know, in parentheses, now I know better.
Exactly.
So, Dave, at the end, we have what we call the bonus round, where we're going to just throw a bunch of quick questions at you. You can take your time answering them, or you can do them as fast as you like.
Okay.
What was your first album you bought, stole, purchased?
God, I don't know.
There's probably a 45.
Probably, yeah, there were 45s. And it would probably have been the Shadows, anyway.
What band do you regret never seeing live?
There's more than one, I mean.
You can list as many as you want. It's your game as much as ours.
Eddie Cochran,
Ooh.
Buddy Holly. Those are the only two, I think.
Buddy Holly was the second one?
Oh, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, and the Everly Brothers.
I love the Everly Brothers.
What is your craziest or Spinal Tap moment in your music career? The weirdest thing that ever happened on tour, anything like that?
I heard a story about Madison Square Garden with Delaney and Bonnie, and you guys went out and the electricity blew.
Well, there was me and Delaney just grabbed two acoustic guitars, and I think we launched into Never Ending Love for You. Just
in front of like 10,000 people?
Well, nearly 20,
20, yeah. Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
It was that, PA stack falling down on my beautiful two Martin D45 guitar.
No. Did it crush him?
Oh, yeah. Things like that,
Oh.
Who would you like to play with that you've never played with?
Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, really? I'm sure that can be arranged.
Yeah. Bonnie. She sings great.
Yeah, she does.
Slide guitar.
Yeah. No, she's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say now to your 19-year-old self?
Pay attention to your money, moron.
And don't give away publishing.
Don't give away publishing. Right, exactly.
Did you ever get publishing back for Only You Know and I Know and all those songs feeling all right? Are you kidding me? Oh, man, I'd be so pissed.
Especially because then you have to pay now using them, right?
Yeah, probably I would.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah. Dave, you've been so awesome. We really appreciate it. Love seeing your live shows and can't wait to see you live again.
Yeah.
When things are better. And congratulations on this album to be coming soon. Don't forget, everybody, that you can order this, DaveMasonMusic.com or...
It's DaveMasonMusic.com.
DaveMasonMusic.com.
Yeah, because somebody in Phoenix has got DaveMason.com. So I couldn't get it.
Have a wonderful holiday, and so happy that you are happy these
Dave.
days, and so happy that your health is well, and can't wait to see you again. And
Yes.
thank you so much for your time.
Everybody mask up out there so we get rid of this nonsense.
Mahalo, Dave.
Mahalo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Blessings.
Bye, guys.
Okay, well, that was so much fun. And God, I wish I was there in Hawaii with Dave because that would have been even more fun. Not really close to him.
Yeah, but just being on the island of Maui.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah. So we had a great time. It was really, really fun with Dave. And, again, it goes back to one of these things where you think back how far it was since his first solo album and like, holy crud.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, but I hate to admit it, but I remember it.
Yeah. No, I do too. My sister had the album. And there were only a few of the albums of the original Alone Together that came out in the marble.
Yeah, the marble vinyl, right?
I think it was a third of them. My sister had one of those. So it was like, that was so cool, so trippy.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be releasing that again in vinyl. It's supposed to be coming up on his website soon. I think they just had some production delays. So check back on his website.
Our special thanks to Dave Mason for zooming all the way from Maui.
Also, a special thank you to Michelle Gutenstein-Hines and Melissa Dragic-Cordero for coordinating the interview. Thank you, ladies, very much. The new album, Alone Together, again, is out now, and you can find it wherever you stream or purchase a digital copy, or you can pick up a signed CD at Dave's website. That's DaveMasonMusic.com.
You can follow on Instagram at Dave Mason Music and Twitter at Dave Mason Band.
Go to our website to check out the show notes. There you can find some interesting tidbits that we talked about in today's show, including some really cool videos that we dug up, links to order Dave's album, and also some nice photos that we were sent. You can find these show notes at rockandrollconfessional.rocks. And wherever you listen to our show, please rate, subscribe, write a quick review. It only takes a couple minutes, and we need your help. So please do it. Do it right now. As soon as we're done, go do it. And then you can say you did it. And that's your Merry Christmas to us for the year. for this year, for 2020.
Okay, not paying it forward.
No, not paying it forward.
2020.
All right, Rita, give us the trivia question again.
What Jimi Hendrix album did Dave Mason play on? Was it the first one, Are You Experienced? The second, Axis Bold as Love? Or 3, Electric Ladyland? You got a guess?
Electric Ladyland.
That is correct. He played on 2 songs, Crosstown Traffic and All Along the Watchtower.
He covered All Along the Watchtower many times, and in fact, I think it's even in his live albums. So yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, he was one basically. Well, you heard in the interview that they heard it together for the first time, and yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Please follow us, like us, share us on Facebook, and do the same on Instagram. We're very easy to find. So we're wishing you Happy New Year for 2021. We have some great shows already lined up, and you'll be hearing the next one in a couple of weeks. Any words of wisdom, Reeds? Don't say wear your mask.
Go outside, don't wear a mask, and just say hi to everybody. Scream, woo! Happy New Year!
Tongue everybody you pass.
Lick all the doorknobs. No, just the thing is, it's been just a wild ride, and, we're almost out of quarantine. We will be soon. Like I said before, light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just not headlights, it's sunshine.
Yay. Okay.
Yay.
Happy New Year. Happy 21. And we'll see everybody very soon. Keep rocking. Bye.
Keep rocking.